What is going on, FA Nation? John Peppa here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook live show for Friday's 14-game DraftKings main slate. James, we did the preview show this morning. We saw all the weather symbols across the slate there. We shot, well, maybe there's a chance that one of these games gets postponed, shortens the slate. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case.
No,
seems like all of these games are going to play. Maybe Atlanta has to deal with some in-game delays potentially, depending where, as usual with the Atlanta Summers, the rain pops through. Could have a delayed start in Detroit, but for the most part, these games are gonna get underway and play, and not really impact us from a roster building perspective here. I was in the playbook. The core plays part of the playbook is out. I'll have the player pool completed after today's show, as long with the latest ownership updates there. So if you are a Fantasy Alarm member and you're looking for the playbook, that is live for you there over at Fantasy Alarm right now for you. Granted, obviously a big slate. We try to do our best to eliminate matchups sometimes when we talk NBA. When it came to large slates, how do you generally sort of pare down your player pool, your matchup targets when it comes to large baseball slates?
So what I usually do.
Thanks.
What is that?
Thanks.
What is that? Wild Thing Rick Vaughn?
Listen, I had to break out the other pair of glasses today.
What the heck?
Wait,
why is Wild Thing Rick Vaughn on the screen?
That's fine. Listen, I had to break them out. As you can see, I got the blue reflection in here. It's like, it's I left the good pair in the car. I walked in my house wearing sunglasses, and I didn't think wearing that on the show was going to be appropriate. So
make everything.
We broke out the back. Bong rips and steak dips, says Mark.
But if it was Ricky Vaughn, it'd be bong rips, steak tips, and wild pitches. Wild pitch.
Well, he stopped throwing wild pitches once. once they got the glasses.
Once he got the glasses, yeah.
I'm like Max Muncy right now. You put the glasses on, all of a sudden you're a 300 hitter.
Tournament winner tonight? Are you winning a tournament tonight with the new specs? Or
maybe we'll see.
So back to your original question.
I'm just gonna go blind now. I won't be able to see anything.
Back to your original question. Obviously, on smaller slates, I think it's easier to make a case where, if this is a 5-game slate, you can make a case I'm going to possibly play something against Nathan Eovaldi or Logan Gilbert or insert top pitcher here. On the bigger slates, you can basically eliminate that from the player pool because you don't need to. There's plenty of other offenses in much better spots than targeting elite pitchers. So, maybe don't whittle down entire games, but you can. So, it's a 14-game slate. It's a lot of games. It's going to continue to be a lot of games. But yeah, just removing some offenses from your player pool, I would say. Don't need to target Logan Gilbert. Don't need to go against Nathan Eovaldi. Probably can do without targeting against Merrill Kelly and stuff like that.
I agree. Yeah, right. And the ownership for today, I think, is we weren't sure with how much we liked the mid-tier, if that was going to be reciprocated or not when it came to ownership. And the ownership is actually, again, more in on the top guys. Yes, Will Warren is your top rostered starting pitcher today. But are you surprised that Logan Gilbert is getting the ownership love that he is getting when we thought the mid-tier on a 14-game slate is pretty loaded today?
No, because that's how it goes. Elite pitchers just get ownership, whether it's a good spot or a bad spot. And you and I talked about it on last night's show. Regardless of how good that mid-tier was, Logan Gilbert threw 90 pitches, his second start back from almost a 2-month layoff. And now he faces a Texas offense that has had a large issue. And that Cubs start was in another wind start. Like he threw 90 pitches, had 6 strikeouts. He gave up 3 home runs because all you needed to do was hit the ball into the air on that day, and the ball left the yard. So I'm not necessarily surprised that Gilbert's getting ownership. Do you need to go there? No, but there's clearly no pitch count anymore. He's going to throw 100 pitches. Texas is an anemic offense. I saw an article out there for The Athletic today, John, I think by Ken Rosenthal. It's about how Texas is surprised that their ballpark is playing so poorly for offense. So
open the roof,
Yeah. So they don't want people to die. So I think the roof is going to remain closed, but I do think it is, at least worth talking about like how bad they've been and in a pretty good pitching environment in Texas. So I get why people are going to Gilbert here.
All right. Again, we liked Merrill Kelly. We like Sonny Gray on the morning show here.
Yep.
Sonny Gray is getting a little bit of ownership, around 20%. Merrill Kelly is not, though, down to 10%, 11% range for Merrill Kelly. I know we've talked sort of his recent little slump, and Miami actually, to their own credit, the numbers against right-handed pitching are pretty decent. The one thing we've kind of highlighted with Merrill Kelly is that he is sort of a career reverse splits pitcher, and this year he's just kind of good against everybody. So if he's capable of neutralizing the lefty bats like a Kyle Stowers, that's hitting the ball well right now, then maybe there's at least some tournament leverage maybe today when it comes to Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, it is an interesting one because Miami has been a little better. The numbers don't bear that completely out like recently, or like over the last month or so. But when you like have a much smaller sample, it's better. I mean, we just saw it yesterday. They absolutely teed off on Hayden Birdsong, teed off, knocked him out early. See you later. I don't hate Merrill Kelly. I think that he is a viable pivot. I would say it's a good pivot because even the guys below him, like Sonny Gray, Dylan Cease, I like Sonny Gray quite a bit. He has a home run problem, but the thing we talked about last night, Jose Ramirez is not in the lineup.
Not in the lineup.
So that is a brutal looking Cleveland lineup. And all you need to know is like Schneemann and Nolan Jones are hitting in the middle of it, right? Yes. That's when like things are dire in Cleveland. So I don't know if I prefer Kelly to Gray. And also, obviously, Dylan Cease has infinite strikeout glitch at times. Now, Kelly's been elite in the strikeout department this year as well. So I'm not putting that,
Sure.
It's a good pivot because obviously he's lesser owned than Gray and Cease in this spot.
Yeah, and I really like Sonny Gray to that point. I mean, we've talked about, his elite strikeout upside, a guy with multiple 10 strikeout games. Lately, obviously, the strikeouts have kind of randomly disappeared on him a little bit here. But Cleveland strikeout numbers are actually on the rise a little bit over the last month. And as you mentioned, that lineup, pretty brutal, just overall with the way that it is going. Dylan Cease is also in the 20% range. Again, another guy with a lot of strikeout potential. And then we do hit the mid-range where I'm not sure you needed to really play anybody in the 9K when you have Pepio, Berrios, Warren, May, Roop, Soriano, kind of all, I think, very much in play. Some of those guys are getting no ownership today. Dustin May is getting 1% against Kansas City, a team that we just saw Boz and Rasmussen and Bradley just completely shut down.
Demolished them.
Right. You're getting a 1% Dustin May there with the Dodgers lineup behind him. Like that feels like some win equity certainly potentially there for him. Landon Rubb against the White Sox is under 5%. Berrios is under 5% against the Red Sox offense that I think you could probably go out there right now and and probably hold them down. I mean, Marcelo Meyer's not even in the lineup tonight. He's on the bereavement list. So, even any sort of talent, right, upside, right? At least we know there's a ceiling. We think of Meyer, like he's not even out there for them. Soriano is the highest rostered of that group. Pepio is the highest. He's 20%. Then Soriano of that 7K range. How are you sort of going about like breaking down this run?
No surprise to see Will Warren the highest rostered pitcher of the slate.
Yep.
Because he is just what he is. He generates a ton of strikeouts. Full stop, right? We've said that all year. Like he just generates strikeouts. And it's not a lot of swing and miss. It's a lot of called strikes, which is very interesting. He leads the league in called strikes. The depth of his outings has risen, obviously. 3 straight games of 5 2/3, back-to-back quality starts.
Yep.
They're letting him just throw pitches consistently. The only reason that Kansas City start wasn't longer was the rain delay, and he had it in Colorado too. He's had a couple starts voided by rain delays. So he looks really good. So I'm with the field on Warren. The A's obviously are just what they are. Like if you're not beaten by Butler, Kurtz, or Rooker, there is not a lot to worry about in that lineup without Langoliers. Like the loss of Langoliers has hurt that lineup, and the loss of first month Soderstrom has hurt that lineup, right?
Yeah,
like
from a power perspective, for sure. Obviously, Jacob Wilson is
and Jacob Wilson, right? My apologies to your young prince, Jacob Wilson.
I think the guy's going to win the AL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, he's literally outvoting Bobby Witt for All-Star Game shortstop for what it's worth.
Which he should.
No, 100%. But that's the recognition part is crazy. Like that's the crazy part, right? Like that he's Pepio has been maybe the most underrated pitcher in the game, if not number one. He is on, you can count on one hand how many pitchers have probably been less talked about than right, how good he's actually been. I mean, he has quality starts and how many starts has he made this year? He's made 16 starts, 12 quality starts, just quick math, 11.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have come since May. The strikeouts are up. The damage is down. He's away from his home ballpark, which hasn't really been a problem, but anything to get him away from his home ballpark is a good thing. There's not a lot to dislike other than possibly Baltimore's offense has come alive, but
sure.
Ryan Pepio's been an elite pitcher. Love Berrios in tournaments. We've talked about how quality of a pitcher he's been.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have the strikeout upside, I think, that Pepio and Warren have consistently had. The Dustin May one is fascinating because, it's a guy that should be generating more strikes. Peripherally, all the stuff looks pretty good. Quality outings in 3 of his last 4. The home run ball bit him against Washington. That happens when James Wood exists in the world. But Kansas City has just absolutely been a corpse. Like they have just been a bad offense. Roop looks good. Just default target the White Sox at all costs, right? I mean, they are terrible. They're just a terrible team, and will continue to be a terrible team. And then Jose Soriano that's interesting.
Sure.
Now, obviously, with how many lefties the Nationals have, that would typically present a problem. The issue is he doesn't allow things. There's not damage by Jose.
3 home runs total, right? That's
and 2 were to Jose Ramirez. We looked this up, right?
Yeah.
The double down was Jose Ramirez. So outside of just facing Jose Ramirez, he's allowed 1 home run this year. He's made every start this year. The Angels have not had a single starter miss a game this year, and that includes Jose Soriano. So 0.77 ISO to lefties. 0.43 ISO to righties. Like it's just not you just worry about the control. A guy who's picking up the strikeouts are ticking up in a massive way. So yeah, I think Soriano looks really good in tournaments as well.
Yeah. And then for the value for us, got highlighted Brian Bayo on the morning show. A guy, he's just kind of changed his pitch mix. Jesus, pitch mix. Picks. Words are hard sometimes, man. Pitch mix there. Throwing a cutter more often than he had ever thrown in his prior 2 starts, and has turned around and looked pretty good doing it. And then I just throw the dart with Yuri Perez because I think he's a high talent pitcher that's just $5,800. And you take a Diamondbacks lineup that doesn't have Corbin Carroll, may not have Suarez today. I don't know if that lineup came out yet or not. Obviously you're going to have it to navigate it. It's not easy by any sense, but playing 20 lineups on a 14 game slate, maybe you get one Yuri Perez in there.
I agree.
All right. Get to some offense here. Obviously, up at the top, you have Kyle Raleigh, who will be in the home run derby.
What happened?
He will be in the home run derby.
Who will be?
Kyle Raleigh.
Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, Kyle Raleigh. What are we losing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What's going on here?
Sorry.
Well, I was like looking at my screen, like, where is this thing here?
Ricky Vaughn's trying to pitch tonight, I see. This wild thing.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. So Kyle Raleigh, $6,400 is going to hit in the All-Star, the home run derby.
Did you see that his dad is pitching to him and his brother is catching?
I didn't. Well, that's
so dad is pitching and brother is catching. His home run derby. Are we going out on a limb and saying he's victorious, or
could be? I mean, it's a pretty wild field. But no one's hit more home runs than Kyle Raleigh.
Yep.
Will Smith, obviously up at the top. William Contreras gets Freeland gets Freeland there. Drake Baldwin. We talked about lefties against Mick Abel last night. Good to see Baldwin in the lineup.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense to have him there. And then Festa against righties, as you called out. Dylan Engler has a matchup at $3,700 that we could be looking to get in our lineups here.
Yeah, like Raleigh, obviously you could play him against anyone. Dodgers did a little bit of a lineup change tonight. I know they hit Will Smith 3rd over the weekend. They're hitting him 5th tonight. They're going Teoscar hitting 3rd, which I fully support because Teoscar has been an absolute dog against lefties this year. And just a dog in general against lefties over his last 5 years. So like Will Smith, but I found that a little interesting. He's hitting 5th. Like Baldwin. Love Dingler. The power that Festa has allowed. And I was looking at it today. He's actually allowed. There's actually probably more to come for lefties under the hood too. Sure. Because he's allowed a 172 ISO to lefties, which isn't good. But it's a 196 expected ISO. So even more there, but it's a 212 surface level ISO for righties. So terrible.
Yeah.
I know it's over 2 home runs per 9 innings to righties as well. And it's worse, 245 expected ISO. I found this interesting too, John. He throws to righties. He throws the slider more than any other pitch. Righties this year have a 412 ISO against that pitch.
It's not good.
That's the most thrown pitch by David Festa this year to righties. Why? If you have the data, right, to say hey guys, I feel like my slider but to righties is getting absolutely hammered. Can you guys back this up? It's it's terrible. But keep throwing it. It'll get better. It's no. It's a 400 ISO. Stop throwing it more than any other pitch you have. Sorry, it's a rant for no. We have this data. We are 2 Joe Schmoes on the internet breaking down data, right? You and I, especially you with those thick lenses, can break down this data and see what's in front of us. Like, why wouldn't that be something that's like in their minds changed, right? Like when it's a 494 expected ISO. It's almost that is crazy, dude. Stop throwing that pitch. But anyways,
Sure.
Yeah, if he throws that pitch, he's gonna give up 3 more home runs to Dingler, Torkelson, and whoever is in the lineup, hitting from the right side. Baez, I know, is hitting 9th tonight. So yeah, I think Dylan Dingler looks great. And the Tigers in general, good solid implied team total again tonight, 4.7 runs. I think that's actually probably on the low side, but solid play for Dingler there.
Where else do we look to go at catcher today?
Where else do we look to go at catcher? I mean, basically just punt Caratini at 3K. I think he looks good. Kyle Teal, $2,800, looks good hitting 5th. David Fry hitting 4th. I mean, we talk about how good Sonny Gray can be, but we also talk about how big of a home run problem Sonny Gray also has.
Yeah.
So I have no problem going to David Fry, and I'm also good with like punting a Patrick Bailey or Christian Vasquez. Gibson Long has issues that he needs to sort out, especially to righties. Gibson Long has problems specifically. So if you want to play Christian Vasquez, I think Christian Vasquez is the perfect punt at catcher. I mean, $2,100. Didn't mention Ohapi either. We don't have the lineup yet, but assume Logan Ohapi's in it, and he is a very powerful human being.
Going on over to first base, Shohei Ohtani is your highest rostered first baseman. Again, no real surprise. He has dual positional eligibility as well. But Abraham Toro is your second highest rostered first baseman today. No one is really spending at this position. You and I were like all about Aranda and catcher Ben Rice today.
Catcher Ben Rice, yeah.
And like 0 people are playing Ben Rice. Literally less than 1% right now are on Ben Rice. The numbers for Mitch Spence against left-handed hitters should be pretty alarming. You know, I understand that they moved him around the lineup. He's hitting 7th today. Don't really understand the Rice to 7 spot, but you know, Yankees trying to shake some things up, I guess. But I still like Aranda and Rice, and I like them even more now that no one's playing them.
Yeah, I don't quite get the Aaron Boone is like the diehard, don't do it at all costs, bat like stagger lefty righties, which I never if you're a good hitter, you're just a good hitter, you know, like you don't need to stagger people.
Just an update. Suarez has returned to the lineup.
Yeah, I saw hitting 5th. Yeah, it's a good line. But minus Corby, that's the full lineup.
Yes.
And Gabe and Moreno.
Probably Moreno less likely to want Yuri Perez at this point.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's Aranda looks great against Sugano. He's going to allow a home run or multiple home runs. Ben Rice looks really good. You highlighted the Spence against lefties, and I think Torque looks great.
Yeah.
We spent all that time talking how bad David Festa is against righties. Spencer Torkelson has a 200 ISO against right-handed pitching, 228 expected ISO against right-handed pitching.
Yeah, no one playing him either. Less than I don't know what's really going on with the ownership here, but like,
yeah, the Toro one is fascinating, right? Because obviously it's multi-position.
Yeah.
Also, ownership on this slate is what it is because there's 28 teams playing.
That and like Logan Gilbert's getting ownership, right? At 10K.
Logan Gilbert's getting ownership.
So if you to take away 10K at a pitcher and give it more to like the mid-range like we like, maybe there'd be more money spent on hitters. But if you're going to tell me that the majority of the field today is throwing Toro, Salvi Perez, and Rhys Hoskins out there, you know, at first base, Luis Urias, I'm feeling pretty good about just going mid-range pitching and actually getting talented hitters in my lineup.
Agreed. I don't really have
don't need to add much. Don't need to add much.
I do, for what it's worth, I do like and we haven't gotten to him yet you mentioned Hoskins. Like I do like Hoskins.
Sure. Yeah, against Freeland. Yeah.
But we also have talked about Kyle Freeland being a better pitcher
Outside of course.
outside of Coors. So
major league caliber arm when not
now,
on the field.
Well, can you say that about their bullpen? That remains to be seen. Post Kyle Freeland, who's making a start off the IL. So that obviously factors into the Hoskins play as well.
Agreed. All right, second base position. I mean, there's obviously cheaper.
Yeah, well, Cole Keith leading off. I like Cole.
I was going to talk about that third. We talked about Hoskins first.
Okay.
Talk Torkelson. So
okay.
All right, second base. Your highest roster second baseman today is Brendan Donovan with a bullet. It's not even close. $3,800.
Good at baseball.
Good at baseball. Leading off, Ortiz, as we talked about, 1.7 homers per 9 to lefties, and there's some underlying numbers that, with the ISO and all those things against left-handed hitters for Ortiz that we definitely would like Donovan there. And then it goes up. You do have Jazz. I mentioned the lefties versus the Mitch Spence. Certainly a play today that you want to go to. Righties versus Festa. No one's in on Gleiber because they're spending up on Jazz here. Tommy Edman gets a lefty. You can play him in the outfield as well. And then Brandon Lau, Sagano, $4,400. Sagano's homers allowed to lefties more than righties here.
Yeah. I basically have no objections to anything you said. I will double down what Warren just said in chat. I think Gleyber hits a home run, just like he did last night against a righty or yesterday in the afternoon, just given David Vesta's problems with righties. I think Jazz is very live for a home run. He has been the best Yankee over the last 2 weeks. It's not even really been a debate. And he hasn't been running either. I think that had to do with the injury, but I do think that Jazz is a very fast dual threat player. So once he adds that to the game, as well as what he's doing at the plate, there is just a massive ceiling there. Obviously, you could always play Cattell. Love Lau always and forever against a righty. Just hits so many home runs. Love Donovan. Also, just love that they gave him the outfield eligibility back too. That's awesome. And same thing with Tommy Edman. What was the Edman hitting 7th?
Yeah.
It's fine. Do I wish we could hit him higher? Yeah. Do they need to hit Mookie Betts 2nd? No, they don't, but they'll never take Mookie out of the 2-hole. That's
no, for sure. Mookie actually down to $4,700 too. So yeah, he'll get to him, but short. He's been slumping, and now the price is finally starting to reflect that as well. You can play Nolan Gorman. Hit again, another lefty there against Ortiz. Willie Castro again. Gibson Long is bad against righties.
Righties, yep.
Castro's a switch hitter, so he'll be on the wrong side of that. But eventually, Gibson Long comes out, and then maybe some of the offense comes through. Estrada, $3,100, hitting third.
Brooks.
Lee Brooks Lee, second, third eligibility against Gibson Long. Also a switch hitter, so he'll technically be on the wrong side, but he'll flip that around at some point. Third base position. Machado, 54. Can play Jazz here. Devers hitting second against Savali at 5K. Caminero, don't have any issues with any of the top 4 guys there.
No, and Devers, Machado getting all the ownership today.
Yeah.
And I get it. I think the Giants' top portion of their lineup looks amazing. We've talked about Savale all year. This is a guy that gives up a ton of fly balls, a ton of power. Lefties have a 224 ISO. Righties have a 213 ISO. I think it's going. I think that this is the. I know Devers has homered twice, and he hit the home run that, he fell over and hit a moon bomb to dead center. This is like the breakout Devers game against Savali, like 2 bombs, first 2 at bats or something along those lines. It just fits. Like the guy gives up. He throws a cutter as his primary pitch. The cutter has a 318 ISO allowed to it. Rafi with the 180 expected ISO against the cutter. 361 against fastballs in general. Like that's dude, away from his first series as a Giant, away from San Francisco too, where he gets to oh wow, I can Right. There's normal ballparks too
Yeah.
in the world. Love Devers, and obviously Machado gets the matchup in Great American. And Nick Martinez has been for a guy with a long history of being a ground ball pitcher, a lot of fly balls this year, and that's not great. This 226 ISO to righties for Martinez, 354 WOBA. So I like both the top guys. You mentioned you can play Suarez here too, by the way.
Sure.
He hits a home run. Like play Jazz here. I wrote Camaro's total bases up today. I think he hits a home run. We've said it yesterday. Said it a lot about how good he is against righties. Like Sugano is. I love home run hitters that like can strike out a bunch when they face a guy who doesn't miss bats. Like Sugano does not miss bats. He has the lowest strikeout rate out of any qualified pitcher in baseball. That makes me very happy that we can get 5 at-bats for probably like 3 at-bats against Sugano where Caminero puts the ball in play. Like that bodes very well for us that roster him tonight. So
yeah.
Any of those top names are super elite at third. That's kind of also why I mentioned Cole Keith at first. I think that this is a like premier spend up spot.
Sure. I mean, you can play Paredes at $4,300 as well if you wanted to. And then it does kind of dump down to the value. Again, Toro's getting some ownership just from dual positional eligibility. I like Cole Keith, as you mentioned.
Yep.
And Kike is actually getting some ownership because he's got the lefty matchup there as well. Shortstop. Can you get Ellie obviously up at the top here? Abrams is obviously super talented. We do highlight that Soriano doesn't give up homers and gets a lot of ground ball out, so maybe limits the upside for him. Mookie and Willie Adames are your top 2 rostered shortstops today, and those are 2 guys. I mean, I'm you
are anti on both right now.
Yeah, I don't really play either unless I have to. I do like that the price is coming down on Mookie Betts, but I'd rather play, like Ellie or Trey Turner, I think, if I'm spending up today.
Yeah, I think this is a tricky one because I think Ellie's in a great spot. Although we like Dylan Cease as a pitcher, he has struggled with lefties. This Ellie has been incredible in basically every facet of the game, except running. He's not stealing lately, but we know that's always one game away from Ellie having 3 stolen bases to make us forget that. I like Ellie. I'm not shying away from the others as much as you are. I think the Noah Cameron peripheral numbers are bad enough to make, and we said it on the preview show, are bad enough to make me believe in the Dodgers and just like all of them, whoever you want. I mean, Teoscar is one of my favorite plays of the day.
I like the outfielders. Teoscar, Paez, and Ohtani.
Mookie does have like relatively good numbers against lefties. He had a decent series in Colorado. And he just obviously connects in a Dodger stack. And then, for all the crap that we've given Adames, and by we, I mean you, because I've never wavered. I'm
anti-Adames here, until he's home in August. 2 months away from playing Adames.
Home, aka Milwaukee, where he doesn't play his home games anymore. He has, for what it's worth, been better of late.
Sure. Yeah.
And we know the splits for him favor him against righties. That's always been the case.
Yep.
And he's facing a bad pitcher in a premium lineup spot. For what it's worth, John, this year against righties, 150 ISO is what it is. It's probably, if we were to do league average, it's probably right about league average. 203 expected ISO to righties. Largely expect that to be ballpark related. 343 expected WOBA to righties. How many home runs does he have hit this year? 8, 9, 7 of them, 7 against righties. So still all largely good stuff, like under the hood for Willie Adames. I think it's a great spot. I really do. And I'm not saying you have to play a chalky Willie Adames. I get it.
Sure.
But it is a really bad pitcher on the other side that gives up a ton of fly balls and does not discriminate whether he gives up home runs to righties or lefties. And so, the numbers for earlier in the year were worse against lefties. They've actually kind of come around. They're a little worse against righties, but I like. I'll take the other side of the argument normally, like I do for Willy Adames.
Sure.
But I do like that game and that offense quite a bit.
Again, Mason Wynn's getting ownership. I like Correa versus Gibson Long here. Righties against Gibson Long at $3,200. We mentioned Joey Ortiz on the previous show.
He's been pretty good, dude.
He's been good, and he gets good numbers versus lefties. So if you wanted to go some Joey Ortiz as a value play today, you can do that as well. Anthony's all in on his Phillies. No surprise there. Likes Alec Boehm today. Alec Boehm is at third base.
Yeah. I think they have him at
first and third.
First, yeah.
Against Elder.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Elder's a pretty mediocre pitcher. So, that's, it's a very reasonable take.
Agreed. All right, outfield, again, you can really pick wherever you want. I really like Byron Buxton today. If you're looking for someone a little bit cheaper than the 6K guys, I think that'd be where I would start. Again, Gibson Long numbers against righties are pretty bad, and Buxton is just hammering everybody in general. But if you want to play Ohtani or Judge or Acuna, by all means, knock yourself out. Certainly won't argue with you there. Schwarber versus Elder at $5,300 works for me as well here. Teoscar hitting third, as you talked about. He's in a good spot. I like the lefties for New York. Bellinger and Grisham. Both of those guys will play for me in lineups tonight against Mitch Spence. Anything else for you in this range?
Did you mention Tatis? Did you say his name?
No, I didn't say any of the Padres yet.
Okay. I thoroughly like Fernando Tatis in the spot.
Okay. I think Tatis is getting some ownership as well.
He is getting ownership. Yes. Yeah. The Padres are getting ownership.
Padres are, yeah.
Spot in Great American. They obviously moved the lineup around the other day.
Yep.
They moved him to the middle of it. They're doing the Luis Arraez leadoff like he was in the years past. And honestly, I like this better. Like, give Tatis more run producing opportunities, right?
Yeah. A guy that gets on base, get him on base.
Yes. And if this sparks Arraez, who's been a 330 hitter like 4 times in his career, right? Like, I think there's nothing wrong with it. He hits righties really hard, Fernando Tatis. 229 ISO, 387 WOBA. Then you look at some of the expected stuff, 288 expected ISO, 420 blaze it, expected WOBA, 14 home runs against righties, 93 mile an hour exit velocity against righties. Like, Fernando Tatis hitting fourth is in a great spot against Nick Martinez. And we just talked about it. Nick Martinez, a lot of fly balls, a lot of power to righties. Like, I think the Padres look really good, specifically Tatis and Machado. And obviously we'll get to Jackson Merrill in a second because he's super chalky too. But I think Tatis, like, your guy in this range is Buxton, and I'm with you. My guy in this range is Tatis. Like, that, if you're looking for an alt off of Ohtani, Judge, Acuna, whatever, my guy would be Tatis.
Okay. Jackson Merrill is ridiculously inexpensive at $4,400.
Yep.
Which makes sense why he would be highly popular, not just a matchup against Martinez, but the price is a guy that was up over 5K for periods of time this season. So definitely am a fan. You also have some of the Tampa Bay plays. Josh Lowe's here. Paez is 41. Grisham is 41. Stanton's getting high ownership today. He's 37, 35 for Giancarlo today. I mean, definitely plenty of guys in the mid-range.
Yeah, I'm not going to gloss past Heliot Ramos either. 4,500. Already talked about like how good a spot it is for San Francisco. Also, just commenting on Faisal's points, there are 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out in Chicago tonight, which obviously it's not the same ballpark as it is Wrigley, but 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out in general. 86 degrees. I like both of those things quite a bit. Heliot Ramos, 209 expected ISO to righties, 355 expected WOBA. So I think he also looks good. But yes, to your Yankees and Rays point, I think both of them look excellent. That if you wanted to play Kyle Stowers, you can. He looks awesome again. Not that we want to target Merrill, but Stowers looks awesome. Kerry Bonds and the Detroit stuff in general, like they have a ton of outfielders you could play. Riley is hitting fourth. Wenzel, for whatever reason, is 4,900, but he's been great. Kerry Carpenter, we saw, has massive upside, 3 home runs in a game this year. And Parker Meadows, maybe he broke out of it yesterday. So any of that Detroit stuff looks great as well.
Okay. Any values for you in the outfield today?
Chandler Simpson, 38. Burleson, 37, with the lefty problem that Luis Ortiz has. We could play Edman here. You mentioned Stanton already. I think Stanton looks great. Joe Adell hitting 5th tonight. Yeah. I mean, dude, whatever was in the past about Joe Adell and whatever prospect ranking you thought he was going to live up to doesn't matter anymore, because this dude is we're just in the moment. He is crushing baseballs.
It might have 20 homers by the All-Star break.
By the All-Star break, dude. He had 20. He was almost a 2020 guy last year, but flat 20 home runs. Yeah. He is going to have that at the break. He has, I don't know if I think Cal has the most home runs in June, but I think Adell is second in home runs in June.
He is probably right.
11. Let's see. Home runs in June. Nope. I don't want to know about Anthony Santander in 2024. I would like to know about 2025. So there's 4 people tied with 10.
Okay.
Suarez, Adell, Raleigh.
And?
Can you guess?
No.
Juan Soto.
Okay. He's a good player.
Yeah, pretty good. So Joe Adell is in a category with 3 guys that are priced at 5K or above nightly. So I just hitting 5th, great lineup spot. Cam Smith hitting 4th tonight. Yeah. How you doing? I mean, we are fully here on the Cam Smith train. I mean, he's hitting every night. I know the power hasn't translated quite yet, but he's hitting everything.
Got a stolen base yesterday as well.
Yeah. That's in the profile. Isaac Collins hitting 5th tonight in a really good Brewers lineup. He's been pretty awesome switch hitter, so we don't have to worry about any pinch hitting going on there. So that's all pretty good value on the board.
Before we get to the lineup building, just want to let everybody know that we have our holiday sale going on right now with the 4th of July coming up. You can get 25% off all products. That's 25% off the month-to-month. You can get 25% off the annual. The annual is already 40% off the monthly price. So if you get 25% added onto that, you're basically getting all access to everything we do for a year for $17.99 a month. So which is basically free because we charge $39.97 a month usually. So now you're going to get that for $17.99 a month for a year. If you buy the annual subscription, you can also get 25% off the draft guide as well. So if you just want the fantasy football draft guide, you can go get 25% off of that. You go to fantasyalarm.com/USA or scan that QR code right there on the screen. Enter promo code USA25. Get 25% off any product we have in the store. That's going to go through 4th of July weekend. So if you don't want to do it today, you can do it tomorrow. You can do it Wednesday, whenever you want. But we're kicking it off this weekend and getting you guys an opportunity to come and join the family for a discount as we head in to fantasy football season. So again, fantasyalarm.com/USA or scan that QR code right there and then enter promo code USA25 at checkout of the product of your choice and save 25%. Grande, let's get the core build going here. Again, I don't really have an inclination to spend up even with the recent updates throughout the show here, Logan Gilbert's just actually going up. As is Will Warren. I'm happy to play Will Warren, but I'd rather pick a different SP2. If we're fading Gilbert, what's your preferred SP2 here?
If we're fading Gilbert in a tournament, I like Will Warren quite a bit. I think there's massive ceiling there. I would say this is an interesting one because the best pitcher, pure pitcher, is Pepio, I think, with a bullet. But obviously, we'd be able to get more with like the Dustin May, Jose Soriano range.
Yeah, and I think the May 1% play just has me like.
Yeah, and if Kansas City is going to continue to strike out, that's the key, right? Yeah. Because if they don't, Dustin May has 1 strikeout tonight, and we're cooked.
Yeah, we get the Severino start a couple starts ago,
we
right?
We get the Severino
8 days.
Yeah, 8. I don't even think 2. I think he had 1. I think you gave him too much credit there.
9 fantasy points in a game, like 7 2/3, right? Like
no, he got a win. I actually played him. He had a win. He had like 15 fantasy points because he got the win. I want to believe that Tampa, it's not a fluke, and that there's just more strikeout in the lineup because everyone's pressing and like, oh guys, we can't hit. And that is just pressure that people can't handle.
Okay.
So I do like Dustin May being 1%. I do think whatever the heck we're seeing from Jose Soriano has been much more impressive than what we're getting from Dustin May.
Sure.
Because that guy has 2 10 strikeout plus games in his last 3 starts. You know?
Yeah. But and they are also favored today,
So like, it's tough. If we're just talking ownership, no one's playing Dustin May. But
I mean, literally no one's playing him. 15% is playing Soriano. So
I think this slate more than others probably doesn't matter as much in terms of ownership because we can go so many different directions.
Sure. So you'd rather play the chalky pitching and go different hitting?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like because we like Detroit and we like Minnesota.
Yeah.
Those teams are not rostered in any capacity. Like none. Like I saw I was reading your playbook. I'm not sure what team you wrote up has any ownership on them tonight. Like
I was also a little surprised.
Like the Dodgers don't have ownership, right?
Well, no one's really getting more than like the 10% on average, right? Like it's so spread out.
Padres, the trio of Padres getting a bunch of ownership.
Yeah. It's like basically it.
And that's it. And the Giants are getting a little bit. Those are probably the only 2 teams. But like there's nobody getting we like Barrios, Warren.
Yeah, Barrios. I like Barrios.
Boston has been a train wreck.
Yeah, and they're home, so like they have a better hitting environment than they've had, but a little different there. All
Last month they have a 74 WRC plus against righties. That's the second worst in baseball.
Yeah, no, they've been atrocious.
The only reason they're probably not worse is because they got to face Jack Kahanowitz that one time.
Yeah.
Who is you like Byron Buxton is he your top overall play of the day? Or top spend up outfielder of the day?
I don't know. I mean, I do really like Aaron Judge, obviously, just like in general.
Yeah.
But Buxton is like the next guy of that range.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I mean, if we did Buxton and then getting like some Yankees, like again, I think going
Stanton's really cheap.
Grisham and Stanton. Do like Rice at first base. I understand it's not a lefty, but I mean
that's true. That's true. Bellinger.
Cheap. Yeah. Go Teal, just a punt catcher, probably. Or Dingler, 37.
Or all the way down to you love the righties, and Christian Vasquez is $2,100 against Gibson Long.
Yeah. I mean, he is very bad though, but
he That would probably be like a Logan Gilbert pairing if you wanted to punt catcher, if you needed.
Yeah,
one.
I think I'd rather go Teal or
Okay.
Caratini.
Okay. I have no objection.
Okay. Do you have a preference of Teal or Caratini?
Teal's more talented, I think.
All right. So we give you $4,600 to figure out second, third, and short here. We'll put the full lineup in the Discord. Warren, Soriano, Teal, Rice, Buxton, Grisham, and Stanton for you guys. Again, take advantage of our holiday sale going on through 4th of July weekend. Save 25% off any product you want. Go to fantasyalarm.com/USA. Promo code USA25 at checkout for whichever product you guys want. That also includes a 7-day free trial still with the annual and monthly subscription. So check it all out. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back for the Sunday night preview show for Monday, and we'll be live on Monday. We'll catch you later.